All right, good morning, everybody. How we doing? Matt Modi here with OddsJam, here to give you some NBA player prop best bets for today. So finally, yesterday, I was able to get into the winning column. It's been a rough 7 days. The only other day I was up was on Super Bowl Sunday, which, as everybody knows, was the worst day of my life because the Eagles lost. So $79 is not the biggest profit in the world. I'm just glad I was able to get into the green after a horrible cold streak. Still down overall for the month of February, so we're working to pick that up. But it's just nice to see one go in. Kevin Malone in the office said it best. It's nice to get a win sometimes. So for this video, I got a couple player props, for you guys to lock in. I've already locked in all of these. I'm going to talk about different ways to find player props as well. Previously I had only been going over the positive EV page, which is a good tool. Don't get me wrong, that is a good tool. But there are other ways to skin a cat. There are other ways to find profitable bets. So wanted to make sure to show you that as well. Before I get started, this is being posted on my solo YouTube channel, so I would appreciate it if everybody who's watching could subscribe, like as well, would help me out a ton. Comment, let me know your thoughts. And then if you want to hit me up on social media, you can at my Twitter handle you see on the screen here. Let's get into it. So there are two plays from the positive EV page that I'm going to go ahead and lock in. So number one is Jordan Clarkson under 23.5 points. So this is at minus 120 odds at BetMGM. So I actually already locked this one in on Caesars, but it's currently available on BetMGM. So that is where I would recommend everybody locking in, as you can see from the check mark here. So the play, again, Jordan Clarkson under 23.5 points, minus 120 odds at BetMGM. Everything in terms of profitability is derived from these no-vig odds here that price this at minus 121.41. So that's kind of the math behind it. Obviously, these no-vig odds are pulled from the sharpest sports books in the world. That's why the positive EV tool is so powerful, because the sports books that consistently do the best job at pricing odds are telling you that this should be priced above, and above in this case, I'm meaning more likely to occur than the reflected odds we are getting at BetMGM. So if you want to think about it in terms of percentages, because I know that someone in the comments asked, the no-vig odds at minus 121, all odds have a win percentage associated with them. And I find this fascinating. It might only be me because I'm a nerd with this like math and data stuff. But if you click this little calculator here, this bet is going to win at roughly a 54.84%, just below 55% rate is how often Jordan Clarkson should go under 23.5 points. And so that's the win percentage of the bet. But based on the odds, we can also calculate how often it needs to win in order to be profitable, right? We can calculate the break-even rate and then just kind of scale up from there. So we just type in the odds of the bet we are placing, which is minus 120, and it's at 54.55. So it is slighter, like the gap between these two percents, 54.84 to 54.55, but it's still profitable. And in the long run, if you're placing profitable bets, it will work out in the long run. Yes, you'll have these weeks where you're just getting smoked and you hate everything, but then you look and I'm up almost just above 24K for the lifetime of using OddsJam. And I've had some incredible weeks, right? Like 2 weeks in a row, 2,500, down 1,000. You know, these things happen. It's unfortunate. It's annoying. These things do unfortunately happen, but you will be up in the long run. So Jordan Clarkson under 23.5 points, minus 120 odds at BetMGM is play number one. Play number two, we are going to the 3-point market and we are looking at Ja Morant to go over 1.5 made 3-pointers. This is at plus 114 odds at FanDuel. This is another one that I have already locked in, as you can see on the check mark here. So it's plus 114 at FanDuel. The OddsJam perfect line prices this just about plus 113. So in terms of the win percentage on that one, this one is going to hit at a 46.88% rate. That is how often this bet will hit. But thanks to the odds that are plus 114, which we will again type in here, it only needs to hit at a 46.73. So again, it'll hit at a 46.88. It only needs to hit at 46.73. So again, it's a smaller gap, right? And you can see that with these percentages here, right? 0.31%, 0.53%. So I get a lot of questions about people saying that they like will avoid plays below a certain percent. And that's not necessarily the best strategy, because if it's profitable, it's profitable. You still want to look into the play and do the research. And by that, I mean, just look and see where other sportsbooks price it. Make sure you're getting an outlier. And in this case, we are. So like FanDuel is at plus 114. PointsBet's close at plus 110. Every other book is at a minimum plus 100, with Pinnacle all the way at minus 108. So we see like Pinnacle at minus 108, BetOnline at minus 101, BetRivers minus 108, along with Caesars, DraftKings minus 105, BetMGM all the way down to minus 110. So like this plus 114 is a clear outlier when you compare it to the majority of sportsbooks. And that's the most important thing, is making sure that you are betting on an outlier, because all of these plays are going to be mathematically profitable, right? That's why they're showing up on the positive EV page. So you want to do the additional research, make sure that they're all outliers to the majority of sportsbooks. If so, then that makes them good bets. So here are two that I found on the positive EV page. You can also find plays on the middle page, but right now there are none at this time, and the arbitrage page, but right now there are no player props at this time as well. But then you can also find plays on the low holds page as well. There's some plays that are still profitable that might not show up on the positive EV page, just because of the books that are pricing it. And an example of this is Jeremy Sochan to go over 9.5 rebounds plus assists. So because there are no odds from Pinnacle or BetOnline, this won't show up on the positive EV page, but it's still a really good play. So the play is at minus 108 odds at FanDuel. So FanDuel and PointsBet are aligned on this one. They're closely aligned. But look at the other three sportsbooks that price it. BetMGM, Caesars, and DraftKings. Minus 130, minus 127, minus 135. This beats the no-vig line of all three of those sportsbooks that price this. So despite the fact that this isn't showing up on the positive EV page, this is still a good bet, right? It's still an outlier to DraftKings, Caesars, and BetMGM. So I hit this one on FanDuel. I locked it in, Jeremy Sochan. I have a lot of bets going on. There we go. Over 9.5 rebounds plus assists. I risked $81 to win 75. That's kind of how I handle these player props. Risk to win 0.75 units, which for me is $75. Here's the Ja Morant one that I already locked in. So that is my third play. Next up, we have Trae Young. The same logic here, under 13.5 points, rebounds, assists. So this is at plus 100 odds at FanDuel. And it's the same thing here, right? Like plus 100 on FanDuel. Again, PointsBet is closely aligned. I don't know why, but those two sportsbooks seem to be, them and BetRivers seem to always have close odds, those three. And they're always outliers to every other sportsbook, which is interesting. And it's the same thing here, right? Like DraftKings, Caesars, and BetMGM heavily favor this under, but we're getting it at plus 100, which is just even money. Like if you type in odds at plus 100, that's 50%. If you hit exactly 50% of your bets at plus 100, you are you're breaking even. If you hit any number above 50%, you are profitable. And we know, based on majority of sportsbooks, that this should hit over 50% of the time. So this is another really good one. Trae Young under 13.5 points. Rebounds plus assists. And then the last one that we're going to go ahead and lock in here is Donovan Mitchell over 3.5 made threes. Now, this is best offered for me at DraftKings at plus 130. So I locked this one in. Of course, they heavily limited me to $11.70. But for those of you that have Clutch Bet, you could actually get it for plus 140, which is 10 cents better. But this plus 130 on DraftKings is still good. Look at the other sportsbooks. Plus 110, plus 114, plus 114. This plus 130, clearly an outlier, as is this plus 140 on this random sportsbook called Clutch Bet. So that is my fifth and final player prop for this video. So got 5 for you guys, 2 from the positive EV page, 3 from the low holds page, which is another good way to find profitable bets. And that's it. So if you're tailing, comment and let me know. Would love to hear it. Again, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Helps me out a ton. And that's it. So hit me up on the social medias and have a good one.